Coke machine for real fishing. Welcome to my live broadcast. Here I am, live on Nipissing. We're in a different hut today. I can see from my fish finder there's already a fish waiting for us at the bottom. And we're in about 17.2 feet of water. It's 1 degree. So here's what we're going to be throwing today. Got a pretty irregular rig right here. Minnow on a dropper on a spoon, and this is one of those crazy electronic spoons you can only find on Amazon. When it hits the water, it flashes all sorts of different colors. You might be asking yourself, is that legal? And as long as the light is attached to the lure, it's considered a legal item. If you're using a massive light to attract fish, that's against the law. But you'll see lots of lures these days that have glow sticks in them, flashing lights, laser beams. Anyway, this is just one of them. So I'm throwing this down on the dead stick. We got a dropper. So I'm putting that down there. We'll see how that works. I think the fish are going to dig it. Failing that, you guys might recall from last week that I had just a big spoon with a dropper and a minnow on it. And that was the one lure that kept catching. Of course, we were catching perch mostly and one walleye. All right, I'm just going to set my trigger mechanism for maximum excitement. So as you guys will recognize, I'm in a different hut today. This is my landlord's hut. All right. So we got a trigger mechanism set up. You guys able to hear some audio? I'm not seeing too much chat going on yet. I know usually we get chat. Anyway, I'm going to throw down on this side. Oops, sorry guys. I'm going to throw down this rattle bait. It looks really big there, but it's actually sort of a medium sized. And this is one of those sort of future retro style rattle baits. I forget the name of this one. It's probably written on the bottom. So it says RVB06. Yeah, the ice out here, T Bishop, is probably where I am, about 20 inches. Last time I measured, I found 17 inches, but the week before that, I found 20 inches. It all depends on where you are and how the ice formed. I've been hearing a lot of people asking about slush and whatnot, but I can't say that I've seen any slush yet at my end of the lake. I'm on the north side here, but I've heard enough people asking about it that I wonder if it's a concern on other parts of the lake. All I know is nobody wants slush. We all know that, especially people driving snowmobiles or trucks or anything. I mean, walking, it just makes ice fishing miserable for everybody. All right. Jeff or Nick or both of you, what was the secret lure you guys were using on your part of the lake? What part of the lake were you guys at? Is that south end? Yeah, I think with the weather the way it is right now, it's a real warm spell, that there's going to be some hungry fish down there. Let's see if they bite. But I am a big fan of rattly baits, so of course that's what I'm throwing first. But this bait I have on right now, I don't know if it's my favorite rattle bait. It's one of those ones you just gotta try it. I think the first time I threw it down, I caught a herring right off the bat, so that sort of put it in some good books, in my opinion. Just gonna switch the camera on here. I'm gonna try to keep this video action pretty dynamic, you know, flipping back and forth between me fish finder so you guys get sort of a feel. I just sent a whole bunch of hats to Billy Bob's Baits. If you happen to be going that way, I sent him 20 hats, so they're all ready to go. I don't have any rod competitions or any draws set up just yet, but I am planning on holding some more before the end of the season. Usually the way I do it is you just leave a comment on the competition video and then you get entered into the draw. Jeff and Nick, is there like 1 million people on Calendar Bay? Every time I go past there, I feel like there's more. Seems like a pretty busy spot. 55 centimeters. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Did you get a picture of that fish? I'm gonna throw on a different lure here. I feel like a vibrato might be called for right now. Let's see. Where should I go? Let's see what I got here. So far no bites, so nobody's waiting, even though there was a fish on the radar as soon as I got in here. Nobody's waiting to grab a bait right off the bat. I'm gonna try to downsize to a rattly bait, a gold color. This one is Matsua. Sometimes I like to put a little plastic on there. I find sometimes, especially with perch, gives them something to shoot at. This lure has caught me a good few fish. Just a little small golden rattler. See, if they get too small, then I worry that they're too light. And when it's too light, you know, it takes forever to get to the bottom. I know there's other details to keep in mind aside from sink speed, but that's probably one of the lighter ones I like to use. I do have some really small rattle baits. You'll have to send me a picture of that, Nick. Ooh, there's a fish. There's a fish looking at it. Oh, sure. Sorry, my lure. I've gotten pretty good at knowing when my lure is tangled on itself. And it looks like it's tangled up real good. As soon as I dropped the lure down there was a fish looking at it. When the lure gets tangled in itself, there are ways to untangle it while it's down there. I used to always reel it up. Same thing with, there's ways to get weeds off your line without reeling in your whole lure and line set up there. So you can straighten out your lure while it's down there. You just got to jiggle it. I guess you just got to imagine. You just got to imagine like the lure is right there in front of you, and you're dangling it and just jiggling it up and down till it untangles itself. And then just picture that, except, well, it's still down at the bottom. I always wonder if fish will hit a lure that's all fouled up on itself. I could see pike definitely not really caring if the lure wasn't doing its proper action. T Bishop, I am in 17.3 feet of water. Rattle bait, golden green. Yeah, that sounds right. Gold can't go wrong. What's going on there, John? I'm not sure, Mashoke, what that is, what that means, I mean. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around here. So, we're all hoping there's going to be some bites coming in. I really feel like this warm weather is going to get them putting on the feed sack, as they say. That sounds delicious. Beer bread, eh? How many beers you got to put into that bread? Imagine at least one. You going to be going for perch on Simcoe there, John? Or are you going to be going for the big fish? Yeah, second line is dead sticking. There's species 8472. I actually have it on the trigger mechanism there. I just find that makes for some pretty exciting times when it actually does go off. So I like to use it. I use it all the time, really. I had been using the jaw jacker. The sweet thing about the trigger is that you can sort of use any rod on there and it will do fine. Whereas I guess the jaw jacker, you can use any rod, flexible fiberglass is probably a good choice. But you have to have that special loop at the end for the jaw jacker to work appropriately. And that, you have to add to your rod, so you can't just fire any rod on there willy-nilly. However, you can make a loop quite easily out of fishing line. Yeah, I was thinking about doing some live broadcasts like early in the morning. Sorry about that. Super early in the morning. Then when I saw the forecast for tomorrow morning, I was like, yeah. Like, I don't know how many people would show up if I did a broadcast that was, at, let's say, half hour before sunrise. Is there any early risers here? Thanks, Marcus. I hope I get a big one. I'm hoping. I haven't fished in this hut yet this year. And I know people were out here a bit earlier in the season, but I haven't seen people out here as much. And I hope that's just because people haven't had time and it's not because the bite has died off. So, I haven't had, aside from when I dipped my line in with my last ice report, I haven't had much of a chance to go fishing here. I'd like to. I'd like to get my son out more. But sometimes, 2.5-year-olds, I just had a bump. I think I did. It's funny because I didn't see anything on the radar there. Maybe he's sitting right on the bottom. I don't know. I remember from using my underwater camera before that when the fish are really hungry, they come out of nowhere and just hit it really hard. And then most of the fish come in and just look at things. So sometimes I can imagine a lot of hits you might get, you might not even see them on the radar until they're already on the line. All the tricks I know for ling, T-Bishop, not that I have caught an exceptional amount of them. I've caught a couple, and some of them were pretty good. But I do know people who are extremely good at catching these things. You know what? I can give you a few, general rules for ling, but if you really want some good info on ling fishing, talk to Josh McKay from Northern Tackle Supply. He's a North Bay guy. and he does lure making, stuff like that. And he makes a few lures that are very specific for lings. And as I recall, he likes the heavier sort of spoons with fluorescent orange and fluorescent pink, or glowing, pardon me. Glow lures are the key, apparently. And then you put a minnow on there and fish at night. That seems to be what I've heard. And I think that's what he sort of says. I think they like to go around boulder piles and stuff like that, probably reefs. I mean, sometimes you read up on all these fish and you realize they're all hanging out in the same kinds of places. You know, they all like their reefs, those fish. But yeah, I think in the wintertime they do their breeding season, and so they get over top of the rocky piles. You know, I've caught ling in 12 feet of water. I've caught ling in 15 feet of water, and I've caught them in 30 feet of water. So they're all over the place. The biggest ones I caught were in 30 feet of water. Marcus, I am going for walleye or perch, whichever one decides to come in here. Last week, a lot of perch were coming in. Regular hook with a minnow on it, eh? So, just a regular old J hook. You're gonna sleep in the pop-up tent, eh? How are you heating it? Propane? I guess that's the easiest way. Yeah, I rarely catch the morning bite. I definitely catch the evening bite. But the times I have come out to catch the morning bite, I'm usually pretty happy with it. But there's been enough times that I've been really disappointed by the morning bite. But definitely, when I was on the South Shore, fishing with South River Resort there, I did an all-nighter there, and between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. was a pretty hot bite. Yeah, I've definitely had moments where the fishing is really good, especially perch fishing. It can really pick up, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, like all day. Nick, I have definitely caught some burbot. It seems like it's every once in a while out this way. As far as how I set up my Garmin like this, you know what's funny is that last year, the guys on the live stream here, they ran me through how it's done, and I don't 100% recall what I had to do. It's something like a dual screen setup. And so you have this little thing at the side over here, and then you have sort of the regular fish finder thing here. Probably, I'm not sure if anybody in the comments here knows what to do as far as changing that. If I knew right off the bat, I would definitely tell you. But right now, I'm not 100% sure. But there's probably some helpful YouTube videos out there about how to make that change. There's a specific term they used. It's like I'd go through all the menus and all that stuff and try to figure it out, but I'm probably just going to I'll look it up another time. And get my fish on right now, Yeah, you know, those burbot do they look pretty wild, I can tell you. And they say how they can spin in a C shape. They definitely can. It's pretty wild to see how much they can turn their body. All right, so we're 20 minutes in here, and I haven't seen any fish yet. So I'm going to change up my dead stick rig, just in case that flashy lure is working against me. You guys might recall that this is the hut. Oops. This is the hut that has the little built-in lure setups that have little bells on them. I'll give you a little tour here in a second once I change my rig. But basically, use like a clothesline reel with a lure on line, and then it goes around a bell thing. Let me show you here. All right, so I'm gonna be throwing last week's rig, big old spoon, lively minnow. If this doesn't turn up any action, we're gonna simplify, maybe get down to a sinker and a hook. Okay. So although it is quite warm out there in comparison to, say, other days where it's negative 30, the wind is still blasting pretty severely across the lake here, which will suck the heat right out of you anyway. So I've gotten my coldest, I think, when the weather has not actually been that cold. I'm going to go absolute super simple right now and super small. And I'm going to throw on a Panther Martin with a chunk of minnow on it. I know this sounds irregular, but sometimes when nothing's biting, these Panther Martins will do the job. The key is they flutter down like a little helicopter, and then you can sort of make the blade bounce off the body, and it can get them biting when they're not that hungry. Get a dead minnow. Whoops. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So there's my rig. Minnow head, and really small Panther Martin. You can hear it how it's gonna jingle. That's what it's gonna be like down there. Let's see if it works today. Sometimes I've used this as a real last resort. And I'm not saying we're at last resort turf yet, but I'd like to catch something today. It's always the dream. Have a good night. Good dinner there, T Bishop. Bernie, how's the fishing on the south end, buddy? I think I saw you posting pictures. Some stuff going on down there. Catching fish. Jeff and Nick, you can send a picture to me through my For Real Fishing Facebook page. That's I'm not sure if you guys have liked that page or not. You can also go to Instagram, okay, and befriend me on there, and then I think you can send me pictures that way. You can also send a picture to forrealfishing@gmail.com. For you fishing. How's it going, Brad? Welcome to the party. How's everything going down your way? Yeah, I do find that to be true, Bernie. I've definitely had times when there's a bit of a slump in February there. I wonder where they go. I feel like they gotta still be hungry. They probably just go somewhere else. They're all hanging around the Manitous, maybe. I don't know. I've had some phenomenal March fishing. I can tell you that much. So we sort of simplified the rigging here. And by simplified, I mean downsized, let's say. Well, on one side I downsized. The other side I got a big old spoon. I like that idea there, Brad. Now that Brad's here, I can catch a fish. He's a good luck guy. So on Simcoe, Brad, you're going for perch there or the whiteys? Sorry, I probably asked this before, but it sounds like you're getting there fairly often, eh? Just February hits and the cold finally gets to them. And they're like, yeah, I'm not that hungry anymore. I'm just going to sit on the bottom and wait for March. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to me. Thanks a lot, Jeff and Nick. The ice reports are an integral part of the channel. I do... Oh, somebody just did something. Sorry, I was paying attention to my lure here. I feel like something down there stole my minnow. Yeah, it's kind of neat just doing the ice reports casually right now, twice a week. But that's given me a bit of time to work on other projects, which is cool. I've been working on some music, some animations, and I've been really hauling ass on trying to finish up this kid's book for my son that I've illustrated and written. I'm hoping to get that out soon. There's a lot more to it than I thought. I enjoyed drawing all the pictures, and then when it comes down to filling in the story and organizing the book, I had to learn some new software. It's kind of cool. Is the audio gone? Did you sit on your mute button there, Brad? Yeah, if the audio goes, guys, let me know right away, because I'll just pop my microphone out. The Rode company, was nice enough to send me a brand new receiver, even though I was slightly out of the warranty period. Yeah. species 8472, I can tell you that one year I was out here and it was probably 5 degrees. It was windy. There was rain coming down, and my hut was held in with the anchors, but all around the anchors they were getting really wobbly because it was so warm that it was melting the turf or the ice around the anchor. And then I had just a dead stick with this silly perch grub on it. No, wait, it was a salted minnow on a jig on a dead stick. And then I was jigging on another line, and it was just, at one point, it was just like fish, 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 fish. And they were all nice sized fish too, like 17, 18 inches. And that was the final day of the season. March 15th, probably 2016, I'm going to say. So, I'm going to check my line here. I feel like somebody nibbled. Feels like my minnow head's gone here. All right, well, I am going to switch vibrato because I like those lures a lot. So far, the dead stick hasn't caught anything. Let's see what we got in the box here. I've had really good luck with all sizes of these things. This is the guy I'm going to be throwing right now. It's hot pink. I think this is about their medium size. It's definitely not the smallest. But the smallest in... trying to get the color. Golden Shiner, I think. Golden Shiner. That's a good one. That will get bites when nothing else will. Sometimes I wonder, it's like, well, I don't use the lure that gets bites when nothing else will all the time, right? I think that sometimes when the bite is really humming, bigger, heavier lures will just get more fish into your, into your hut because you can drop them faster. But the really, really light vibratos are really good in very plain colors when they're sort of finicky, I guess. So like I said, I haven't fished in this hut in a little while, or at all yet this year. As you guys recall, I was talking about getting my ice hut out from the last place I was out there. That spot wasn't bad. I caught some nice size perch there before I finally got my hut out. And that spot is probably 100 yards away from here. If you guys recall, I was in my neighbor Ray's hut last week, which is about another 200 yards south of here, heading towards the islands. Brad, if you're getting out there a couple times a week, you gotta start your own YouTube channel, buddy. Although I guess if the fish aren't biting, that's always makes it a bit harder. Yeah, I've heard that those whitefish will go really shallow sometimes. Huh. Yeah. Definitely, Russell. You gotta love those days. Like I was going through some old pictures of mine from a few years back catching perch. And there were times where we had so many of them. But still, like we would still be way under the limit of what you could keep. But we had enough. It made pretty impressive display, you know. These days I just sort of like to keep enough fish to eat for that day. That works for me. So come on, come on. You know, I saw some guys do an ice fishing video where they were fishing in a creek that had to be like 10 feet across. And they just drilled a hole and went ahead and fished in it. And they caught fish. I think they caught a nice pike. I'm going to turn on the light here. So there will be a slight flickering going on. There we go. Yeah, you know, back in the day when I had the opportunity to, I used to go out with my brother and his buddy out here, and we would fish just like out for days. You know, just sitting out here, get out midday, fish. And there were days when, you know, not a lot was happening, or just a little bit. And some of those days would be the kind of thing where you'd catch 2 or 3 here and there. As long as you were there all day long, by the end you had a sled full of fish, you know. But there would be long periods in between. And some days you couldn't get your lure down fast enough. It was just like boom, 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 boom. That's a good one, Brad. Yeah, I know some people who are really good fishermen, and I wouldn't put myself on that list. It's like, do you need to be good at fishing to love fishing? No. You just got to keep showing up, I guess. My way of looking at fishing, I think. So I don't think my skill set is particularly impressive. I definitely know other people where I'm like, wow, this guy seems to catch big fish all the time. And you're just like, how does he do it? He's just got the magic, you know? I guess one day I'd like to be the guy who catches big fish all the time. Man, there's this one guy on Facebook. I feel like his name is TJ. And he's fishing for muskies. And I swear, the guy could go out on a day and catch 5, 6 monster muskies. You're like, wow, how does this guy do it? TJ Frood, I feel like that's his name. Anyway, I come across him on Facebook, and I see all the pictures. You know what, Brad? When you spent like thousands of dollars on fishing lures, sometimes you just got to keep going through that tackle box and trying everything out. You know, it's the way it works. Corey, how's it going out there? Sorry to hear about your truck. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of a truck that's completely melted before. Did they figure out how exactly your truck lit on fire, Corey? Because that's been on my mind. Change up my lures here. Let's see what I got. It's starting to cool down a little bit. Let's see. I feel like a small spoon with a big minnow. Probably do it. Let's see what I got. All right, so I got a variety of these. Sorry, I got a variety of these dinner bell spoons. I might as well try a different one out. What do you guys think of this one? I'm pretty sure it glows. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a chunk of a minnow, I'm going to put on a minnow tail. All right, here we go. That's still starting to chill out a bit out there. Do you ever have like strange lights just show up on your camera and you're like, what's that? Not on your camera, on your phone, pardon me. You're like, what's that green dot that I've never seen before? I always wonder. Yeah. You know what? I had some sort of an oil explosion inside my truck the other day, and I thought the whole thing was over and done with. There's oil just shot all over the engine, shot all under the underside of the hood. I was like, I've had a lot of repairs done on that truck, and I can tell you that once that oil was shooting everywhere, I was like, okay, maybe it's done for. Turned out it was just this little pressure-related unit for the oil. Pressure, I forget what it was called precisely, but it got broken down over time and, ruptured, shot oil all over the place. That, Jerry, that whole story is all over TikTok like you wouldn't believe. TikTok, all sorts of memes are making use of that hilarious thing about his concerns about, I guess you'd call them ice hut hookers. Like, is that a thing anywhere? I don't know. But I wonder what the guy was thinking. Sometimes when people say things, you're just thinking, like, is this guy's joke? But he seemed to be pretty serious about his concerns about prostitutes on the ice. Rob Graham, where is Wacomata Lake? Yeah, so far, Brad, the walleye bite has been fairly slow, especially tonight. I'm hoping this isn't one of those many nights we catch nothing out here. Last week it was good. I mean, not crazy amazing. It was definitely caught some fish though. I mean, I think in places like Calendar Bay, where there's so many huts close together, if you were running any kind of a business on the ice, it would probably be, like set aside the prostitutes on the ice. But I remember a lady I met in Cuba who said she was going to start a business where she just drove around delivering like chili to people on the ice. And I thought to myself, like, that's a genius idea, especially in places where it's really compact and you can drive around delivering chili. so forth. You're lucky, Bishop. Sorry. Because we have not caught anything since you've been gone. So hopefully now that you're back, some fish will start, coming in. Yeah, again about that mayor, like, yeah, seriously, like, you'd think you would have heard about this kind of stuff outside of this one story about him and his concerns about that. Because it was funny, because he was like, first you're gonna allow people ice fishing on here, and then you're gonna have people, they're gonna want to put their ice shanties out here. Next thing you know, there's gonna be an issue with prostitution on the ice. I don't know. Funny stuff. Anyway, so I gotta get my brother out here sometime. He's got a snowmobile. Last time we went out to the islands out there. There was some good fishing to be had. Yeah, like chili or soup. Any one of those would be great on the ice. Some sort of a mobile restaurant setup that you could spin around. Of course, you could probably charge fairly decent prices because, it's a special service. And people probably would appreciate it enough. I'd probably blow, $10 on a bowl of chili if it was delivered right to me while I was getting really cold, So, just gonna let my rod sit for a bit. Starting to get a bit chilly in here. Gonna check out my other trigger rig over here and see if anything's happening. Sometimes I feel like if you want to catch a whack of perch, get out during high noon. All right. So there's still a minnow here. So that's good. I'm going to put it down for now, but I think I'm going to investigate what other kind of lighter riggings I can put on there. Excuse me. Okay. All right. For my rod holder on this side, I've got one of these guys. I kind of like them. Sort of watch, balance your rod on there, tilts down, tilts up. I had one that had like a stand, and then it came like way up high where you could have it right by the handle of your chair or the armrest of your chair. Not sure where that one went. It was kind of flimsy, to be honest with you, but the idea of it was quite genius, I think. So, pies and butter tarts. That sounds delicious to me. Elliott Lake. I feel like I've been to Elliott Lake when I was extremely young. Well, probably in my early teens, maybe. Yeah, a can of Chunky. I had a buddy who ate that stuff almost exclusively for a long period of time. Fish whistles. I've heard people use that term before. Fish whistles. That's a good one. Sorry, I'm just messing with the camera here. There we go. Sometimes settings get changed around on this camera, and I don't quite understand why. I mean, it's just a phone, really. I swear, when I got here, there was a fish on the bottom, and it seemed really promising. And since I've been fishing, it seems like they all disappeared. Got my dinner bell down there. It's funny because somebody was asking me the other week, how do you work a vibrato properly? Because they've heard so much hype about that lure, but they have never gotten much success with it. I hear this dinner bell lure being hyped heavy, like real heavy. And I think I maybe have caught a perch on it, which is good. Not saying it's bad, but sometimes you wonder if I'm doing it wrong. I'm sure there's a specific way you got to rock those dinner bell spoons just to get that blade swinging properly. The dinner bell effect, Outdoor Dave, are you out there on the ice right now? So far, the fish aren't coming to the battle. It's just me battling myself out here. So far, I think I'm doing all right. It's starting to get dark right now. Yeah, let's see, what's the time here? So 6:02. So sunset was at 5:38. That's why I started my live stream at 5:08. Try to get here a half hour before sunset. It's one thing fishing and hunting and outdoors activities will do for you is they'll really set your clock to when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. Lawrence, welcome to the party here, buddy. Yeah, sorry these live streams aren't that exciting. I wonder if there's, you guys can admit, any of you out there, if you watch these live streams to go to sleep. I will accept that. I imagine that listening to one of these live streams being broadcast, especially ones where I'm not catching any fish, probably put you to sleep pretty well. As good as anything else, right? Outdoor Dave, are you going to be going for perch, whitefish? Anyone? Because I'm curious. I remember you saying that you never had much luck with whitefish. Is that true? Did I remember correctly? I was hoping to take my son out tomorrow, do some fishing. I'll see if it works out. Well, yeah, I mean, I had one friend who's not interested in fishing at all tell me that he watches the live streams just because he feels like he's hanging around with me, which I find really funny. Yeah, I guess they're like, if you think about it, the idea of this live stream and just being here while I'm fishing live and staying away from due to the nature of live streams, the sort of high impact cut editing that we're so used to, watching a live stream like this has got to be a heck of a lot more authentic to the fishing experience, where it's just like long, boring amounts of time spent just chatting. I don't know. I feel like I don't get bored like I used to, doing all this stuff, fishing. Nothing about it is really that boring to me anymore. It's all about the experience. Sometimes sometimes I feel a little bit embarrassed when I don't catch any fish, but after you don't catch fish for like 5, 6 live streams in a row, and no, I think I feel bad that I'm not catching fish either during the live streams, but at the same time, you know, what are you gonna do? I guess I've had a few offers to go fishing in some other spots, and I guess I better take somebody up on it before the season closes. Maybe they can put me onto some fish. Yeah, some of my first ice fishing adventures were on Simcoe, and when my buddies and I just set up our tent and we were hoping for whitefish, we were in about 80 feet of water. Didn't catch anything, and then like 10 minutes before we were going to leave, boom, my buddy catches this beauty whitefish. Just just a beautiful size. Amazing. I wish I could get into more whitefish too. I think they're nice sized fish. They're solid fighters, and there seems to be a lot of them out there. I tell you, species 8472, those coyotes, like I see them up here, but when I'm down south in the, you know, Orangeville, Dundalk, Shelburne region, when I'm down that way, I see them everywhere. They're all over the place. And you can only imagine those coyotes. I know that like up here the hunting licenses are like you get a special license for coyotes, but I think down in southern Ontario there's so many of them that the hunting license is just your small game license or something. Scuttlebutt Lodge. I don't know if I've heard of that one. Tell me about it. Scuttlebutt, eh? Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot down there. It's crazy because as I recall, because I was living down there because I grew up in Shelburne there, and I remember like I was really young, but I remember the year when they were releasing wild turkeys to try to repopulate the turkeys in that area, in the Mono area there, and it was just, they put out all these pamphlets asking us to let them know, like the MNR know if we see these turkeys around. And sure enough, one of my buddy's properties was actually one of the initial places where they released turkeys. And, it sort of went quiet for a while, and then all of a sudden, turkeys were everywhere. And, now I know there was a huge surge of turkeys for a while, and then it all went real quiet. And I think what happened there was that the coyote population really surged with the turkey population and eliminated a lot of the turkeys. As there were a lot of them, and there was this dead spot, where there weren't nearly as many. And now I feel like my dad is sending me pictures. My dad's sending me pictures of turkeys on his property in the Dundalk area. And we'd never seen them before, so I guess they're getting around. And I've even seen turkeys up here. It's getting crazy. I saw a turkey down Trout Lake Road, which is really, that's straight up Northern Ontario style bush, where there's a few farm-ish style places around, but you don't really expect turkeys up there. But I'm pretty happy to see them up this way. I'll have to check that out. Red Green Fishing Show, Scuttlebutt. Yeah, I remember Red Green. Sorry, I got icicles on my lips here. Has Canada Goose switched to having some sort of faux fur on their jackets? Because I know they were a big buyer of the coyote fur, as I recall. So I'm probably going to fish for, let's say, 15 more minutes, okay? So I'm going to switch up my lures now. I've run the spoon, I've run a minnow, I've run a smaller rattle bait. Let's see. For the next 15 minutes, I know those Canada Goose coats sure cost. I didn't know, people sold coats for that kind of stuff. I guess I'm usually always getting my coats at like Value Village and stuff like that. I didn't realize people spend like $1,000 on a coat. It's pretty wild. Okay, so I'm going to throw down a clack and wrap, real noisy. See if we can rumble somebody up down there. Yeah, the bite is not happening today. All right, bombs away. And on the other line, let me see what kind of rig I got. I feel like I might have gotten rid of my. Let me check my tackle box. We'll put this rod here. Okay. It's not the one I thought. Brad, I have never actually tasted wild turkey myself. Unfortunately, I've heard that they're chewy. I don't know if anybody can confirm or deny. I think that a lot of their places where their tendons get used, you would get a very, very chewy. Very chewy texture, I'm just gonna say. I've eaten things like lots of grouse, stuff like that, and they can be very delicious, but you have to prepare them. Make sure you prepare them very carefully, because they're not as, like when an animal lives outside, wild and free, its body gets worked a lot more than the body of, say, a chicken who sat in a yard for its whole life. So you get things like tendons tend to be quite a bit thicker and more, pronounced. I know in grouse, even some of the tendons in their legs will be like toothpicks as far as thickness is concerned. All right, so I'm going to throw down a lively minnow. Oops. Going with the classic minnow sinker combo. I'm going to try to keep it simple on this one. See if this makes the difference. Oops. All right. All right, so the rig is set over there. So yeah, I'm gonna go for 12 more minutes here. And then I'm gonna go eat some dinner. I made enchiladas. Put them all together. Give my wife instructions on how and how long to cook them. All right, Outdoor Dave, have a great one. Yeah, I don't have any beer out here, guys. I mean, honestly, I don't. It's not to say I don't. It's not to say I don't have. Well, not beer, but some other unmixed beverages at home that I'm planning on enjoying while I eat enchiladas. Yeah, I keep switching the camera back and forth so it stays like lively, you know. So I'm just scrolling through all the stuff here. Yeah. Classic February Nipissing bite. You're right. I imagine deep fried turkeys would probably be pretty delicious. If I was drinking beer, you guys would hear it go. Ka-ch. Yeah, I've tried lots of different ways to cook grouse. I've made them into Thai style curries. I've made grouse strips, and yeah, I think that one's my favorite. Sort of like chicken strips, except grouse. I mean, grouse are really just chickens of the forest. Really, they pretty much behave exactly the same too. If you see them out there going about their business, they're basically just chickens. Lawrence Milks, that's sounds exactly like my dad. He always says, "Why would you bother going out for any of these things when you can just go to the grocery store and get a butterball turkey?" Whiskey and Bailey's, wow. I never thought of anybody mixing those two. There must be a name for that kind of drink, eh? I've seen one pheasant in my whole time being alive, and it was in the Dundalk area. Yeah, not a gray hair in this beard. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been graying up in the beard pretty heavy. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna pull out all these gray beard hairs, and then sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna let them fly. You know, I got my current minnows from the Arrowhead gas bar, and they were $10 for 2 dozen, which is pretty good. Yeah, the grouse are, yeah, chickens of the forest, buddy. And they're delicious too. Darren, I feel like the fishing's better wherever you are than it is where I am. I see pictures of you catching fish. Seem to be doing okay. You know, I haven't had any wild duck. I've definitely had farmed duck, and that was tasty. Sunset's where all the action is, eh? Smashing everything yesterday, man. Guess I should have done my live stream yesterday. Maybe they would have been biting. Come on, fish. You got 6 minutes to bite here. Let's go. See, I was in a pickle earlier today because I'm not sure what happened. I guess the batteries ran out on my bubbler for my minnow container in my fridge. I didn't know. So when I went to check out my minnows today, I saw they were all floating upside down. And I was a little bit, I guess, down about it. I put them on ice. No, I put them on salt and then put them in the freezer. I like to use salted minnows. Anyway, so I had to run out to the gas station to get myself some more minnows. And I was like, I'm going to be late for my live stream. But I made it on time. And I got the minnows too. Yeah. Salting them works so good. And a lot of times with perch especially, a nice just small chunk of salted minnow will be the difference between them biting and them just looking at whatever you have. Is that $14 per dozen there, Brad? All right, we got 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Come on, fish. It's quiet. It's quiet out here. It's definitely good and dark outside now. We're down to 4 minutes, guys. 4 minutes. What's everybody's go-to, like, end of the day? This is my last lure I'm going to throw. Lure, you know? I feel like I've got it on right now. The clack and wrap. I've caught lots of wallies on this guy, but then they stopped making them. You know, I used to know a lot of the bait shops and tackle shops around town in Toronto there. I used to, particularly, there were a few close to the Yorkdale Mall. No, not Yorkdale. Man, I worked beside this place for years. It's one of those major malls. Anyway, there was a tackle shop nearby, and it was my favorite place to go. See, Darren, is there a special way to rock these dinner bells? Because I got a whole whack of them. And it's really, I mean, I haven't caught that many fish on them yet. But then again, I haven't been fishing a crazy amount. Rip and wrap. My brother loves those ones. It's one of his faves. A minnow head, eh? So when they say per scoop, you know, how many minnows are in a scoop? Well, I'm going to keep giving dinner bells a try. And definitely that Cranman guy and Fish Chaser 67, they were all about cutting minnows, live minnows in half. Seems ogreish, no doubt, but very effective. They seem to do very well with a spoon with that on there. Yeah, I feel you there, Brad. Sometimes I look into a bag and they're like, "There's 2 dozen in there," and yeah, how do you count them? They're always zipping around. It's tough to count minnows. When they told me there was 2 dozen, I was like, "No way! That's got to be more like a dozen." And I was like, "Maybe it is 2 dozen." Mr. Brick Boy, you're right on time to see the fishing has not been very good. We've seen 0 fish and we got 1 minute left in the broadcast. $14 for 50 minnows that's a pretty haul. That's a pretty good haul. I haven't tried that there, Brad. I always love, Darren, gold spoons of any type, and I think I definitely got a gold dinner bell, so I'm gonna fire that on next time I'm out. All right, guys. So I think it's time for me to get into some enchiladas. So thanks a lot for showing up to the party. If you got a chance and you haven't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button here before the broadcast is over. And I'm going to pack up, get ready to go, get ready to walk in the darkness across the lake. And then I'm gonna eat up. I do enjoy walking across the lake in the dark. I got lots of good lights, so don't worry about me, guys. It's gonna be great. All right, have yourselves a great night, and we'll be talking to you guys next week for sure. I'll be doing ice reports on Sundays and Wednesdays. This last week I missed Sunday because I was held back at work, had to stay. Anyway, there's more hats at Billy Bob's Baits. If you get a chance, grab some, and we'll talk to you guys later.